Welcome to episode 2 of After Hours with Annie. Today, we're talking about the things that no one told us: uni, chaos, and caring for yourself. So, all about university life and the barriers and the trials and tribulations that we get living in university and everything that comes with that in terms of health and well-being and our sex lives. So, I'm Jamie. I'm the resident sexologist and community manager at Annie.
Hi, I'm Raquel. I am a marketer at Annie, and I'm also a full-time uni student.
And I'm Anna, one of the co-founders of Annie. So yeah, I can't wait to get started with this one.
Yes.
So, Raki, I feel like you really bring our average age down when talking about uni life.
Significantly.
Yeah, because I graduated 10 years ago, and Anna, I'm sure you graduated
Longer than that.
10 years ago.
10 plus
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah.
So it's
So yeah, so
great.
we're kind of outdated, aren't we?
No, just very wise.
Love you.
I guess like we wanted to talk about everything in terms of what it's like living as a uni student and all the barriers of health and sexual health and well-being and burnout and all of those things, that come with being independent and living, especially on res, because you live on res,
Yes.
don't you?
Yeah, which makes it so exciting and so convenient, but also has a whole range of different challenges because I'm in my second year of uni right now and I'm loving it. But I feel like that excitement and the fun of it and also the education side of it, that gets talked about a lot, but it's also scary. Like it's also such a different world to navigate. Like you go from having, your whole life, 18, 19 years at home. Maybe you've done a gap year before where you've gained a bit of independence, but you're oftentimes in a new city, in a new, totally different kind of stage in your education. And you're having to book your own dentist appointment. You're having to learn how to cook for the first time. Maybe you're actually having to motivate yourself to go to the gym rather than having after school sports. So I feel like that's the thing. A lot of the time, um, health, well-being, and just how you take care of yourself really does slip through the cracks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel
Yeah.
like the emotional and physical toll of studying full time, living on campus full time, not sleeping because you're out socializing and partying all the time.
Yes.
That's what I was doing when I was 18 anyway. Um,
Yeah.
and not having good food, not being able to afford good food, or not knowing how to shop for
Yes.
yourself because your parents aren't
Not
studying.
knowing how to cook for yourself.
Yeah,
Oh
not
my
even
gosh, exactly.
know how to
And being
cook.
like, oh my gosh, I am allowed to just eat ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is great.
Like
Or not eat for breakfast.
I
Yeah.
lived off mee goreng. Mee goreng was I had mee goreng
No.
twice a day every day for like 2 years.
Well, that hasn't changed. That's the diet of like most of my friends. So,
Oh my God. Because there's a really crazy stat about health and uni students, and it says that 13.4%
yeah,
of uni students, only 13.4% of uni students meet the recommended vegetable intake, which is not high.
that's crazy. That's
That's
nuts.
It's so low. It's so
No.
low, isn't it? I also wonder how many people leave uni with that same statistic throughout their
Oh,
life
exactly.
because you don't
Yeah.
get taught it, right? Like no one
Yeah.
tells you to
But
start eating veggies. Yeah.
exactly. The
Yeah.
13% probably nutrition students.
And I feel like
Yeah,
people like don't
exactly.
know how they don't know how to look after themselves. They don't know like what you need to have in a nutritious meal to keep that energy going as a uni student.
Exactly.
Your brain energy
Mm.
alone creates so much energy and burns so much energy from just thinking and working and studying.
No, exactly. And I feel like that is so normalized as well at college. Like you routinely talk to people like pulling all-nighters, having, surviving off potato chips and like the energy drinks and just that kind of almost like a pride around that. Like, oh yeah, like I didn't get any sleep last night because I was studying. But that's actually so detrimental to your studies and to your overall health as well. So I feel like it's definitely a different culture as well that you're also having to deal with.
Yeah.
And also, that's like a different sort of competitiveness to keep up with as well, isn't it? Like you
Yes.
kind of come out of high school and you've got your posse of friends that you obviously don't always carry through to university. So you're desperately
Mm.
trying to fit in and work out where you
Yeah.
fit in the ecosystem. And so yeah, that burnout hustle sort of culture translates through, doesn't it? Like
Mm.
hanging out till midnight studying or
No,
partying or
exactly.
whatever is like it becomes an addiction unto itself, doesn't it? To just
It's
be
such a
part of
work
it. Yeah.
hard, play hard kind of
Yeah.
lifestyle, which,
Yeah.
can feel fun for 2 weeks, but you can get so burnt out and like it shows in your physical as well. Like I
Yeah.
remember I'm on my mid semester break, so this isn't my college dorm room. I wish it was, but it's my to go home. But I remember getting home for mid-sem after spending 2 months at uni, and I was breaking out. I had a cold that I hadn't been able to shake for 3 weeks. I was so run down. I had maybe been getting like 6 hours sleep maximum most nights. And just being back here and like getting into my old routines and old healthy patterns has really kind of shown me like how easy it is to kind of let my health go in university.
Totally.
Yeah, I reckon as well, Jamie, I don't know what it was like for you, but finding that, I don't know how you find a way to prioritize that when you're at uni, because it's not what you want to spend your money on. It's not often what your friends are doing or what's even top of mind. You've always there's so many other things that are on your mind. So how do you even find headspace to find that reset on campus? Like I don't know, Raki, is that something that's advocated for these days? It certainly wasn't back when I was at uni. Not at all. Like
It is getting better, I think, because I'm at UQ and there's a GP on campus, which is good. There's like sexual health services as well, which are pretty good. And there, I think they're getting a bit more popular. There's free STI testing on campus, like 4 days a week, which is very good. And that's
Jamie happy.
Getting more of that, which is really good. But I think it's mainly about feeling comfortable to go to those places as well, just because you're fresh out of high school and you're fresh out of living with your parents who have, you've probably got a family GP. If you have a dermatologist, you've had them because your parents have set you up with them. You have all of these health experts that you've been kind of growing up with, but now you find yourself in a new city and you still need this help, but it's just finding the time and also the accessibility to be able to do that, because then you actually start realizing the actual cost of these things and you go, oh, maybe I can't afford to go to, my high-end dermatologist that my parents have booked for me, or maybe
they're not willing to pay for.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh Jesus, my 5 hours a week at TK Maxx is really not. It's really not
cover that.
Yeah. It's such a big reality check, isn't it? Like becoming an adult, living by yourself, having that independence, and then actually realizing the breadth of
the cost of living,
expensive life is. I remember that really slapped me across the face. I was like, how am I supposed to afford all of these things that I want to do if I have to be paying for food, doctor's appointments, basic amenities?
It always feels like health and wellness services become a luxury that
for sure,
can't even think about affording. So it makes it tricky.
Yeah, and I love what you said about routine as well. Like I've always found that routine is the thing that like grounds me when I'm in chaos. It's like, how do you like bring that routine of self-care back to your everyday life when living at uni? It's like, how do you implement like the 8 hours of sleep, like eating really healthy, nutritious, nourishing foods for your body, like prioritizing health.
Even just movement as well. And I think definitely getting into a routine and also talking to other people around you and being that kind of positive change. Like I've started going on daily morning walks with my friends, just, like 3K in the morning, you get your vitamin D straight away. And it's a beautiful thing because you're also socializing and you're building up those friendships. So it's not like you're sacrificing socializing to be healthy. You're doing it together, which I think is something that is really valuable, because then you're getting, the beautiful mental health benefits of being with people and deepening those relationships, but you're also getting the physical benefits. So finding ways that you can do it in a social context almost, and just little things that you can just do in your day-to-day routine, I think has been a game changer for me at least.
And even like
I love that.
Exercise community, being like, because it's so stressful at uni, right? Like it's the most stressful thing. And being able to
tap. And exercise is so good for that.
Yeah, like exercising and socializing. They're like the two best ways to mitigate stress and burnout. And it's like the two things that I feel like you always drop when you're feeling stressed.
I totally agree. And I was even just thinking, you isolate yourself. And it's a really slippery slope, isn't it? Because it starts in small increments, like, maybe you drop your veggies, or maybe you drop that walk, or maybe you just go, oh, I'll just go to bed now. It's only I'll get 4 hours sleep. That's enough. And then all these little things just start to build. And before you realize that you slip through, that burnout started, that anxiety, that worry that then I imagine does show through in your grades and how it is you're moving through, and then that becomes even more stressful. If you feel like you're at uni and you're not doing well, that's like immensely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you just don't have that support around you. Like there's not that. I mean, I'm lucky with a residential college. There is a counselor on site. There's like an academic counselor as well, and they're really great. You've got your RAs, you've got that support. But for people that aren't living on res, it can be really hard to find those resources. And I think unis, they do try to cater to it, but I think it's just that people, like there's such diversity of people and diverse situations. So like you could be on res where you have a very high social life and you may be feeling burnt out because you're constantly drinking and you're constantly partying. And people on res will have different needs from people that are more isolated in the city. They're living in a student accommodation. They're still having that party life, but they don't have those structures around them to get that support. So I think that unis, I think they are trying to provide that health support, but there's just so many different needs that need to be addressed because there's so many different types of people.
Yeah, and it is also, I mean, the blessing of that time of life is that you do build that resilience and you do build that opportunity to really advocate for yourself, which is obviously such an important life skill, isn't it? Like you need that as you move through 100%. The whole world. And it's like it's like how do you advocate and how do you find those services and how do you actually make those connections and connectivity with the people that can help you outside of that uni support network? Yeah, I think that's another, because that is another exciting time of uni, isn't it? It's that part of, you're really defining yourself as an adult first and foremost, partly through study, but mainly through socialization and community first and foremost. So
having
I think that's exciting. Yeah, having that autonomy, that's a great word for it.
It feels great when you can take care of yourself. Like when you do find those mechanisms and when you do start, finding people that can help you, like that sense of independence is so empowering, I think.
Yeah. And to make those choices yourself, like I think, as is saying, like, your parents are no longer making those choices for you.
Oh, exactly.
And that's terrifying, but also really empowering at the end of the day to find out who you are and what you will prioritize and how you will seek those things out. Like, will you seek the alcohol out and drink 24/7, or will you seek out the vegetables with a little bit of alcohol on the side, and maybe some sleep? Like, how will you mix it up? Like, will you find your own health practitioners? Will you, will you take care of your mind, your body, and your soul as such? Yeah, it's super cool.
Totally, and like listening to your body and learning how to look after your health as an adult, and like I think being intuitive with what your body's telling you is such a big one that so many people don't know how.
So true.
Learn it and like actually pay attention to what your body's telling you. Like if you're burnt out, that means you're probably stressed and not sleeping and not eating well, not doing those things. Maybe you're drinking too much, like maybe your anxiety is really bad. Whatever those things are, like that intuitive like body listening is so important as well. So it doesn't feel so overwhelming because you're like, I know what I need, right? Like learning how to listen to your body so you know what to give yourself when you need it.
I'm not going to miss out on things if I do listen to my body.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you're
so easy to get FOMO, but you just have to keep in mind that there's things happening all the time. Like you may miss out on this one bar crawl because you're listening to your body, but there's going to be another one in a couple of months. Like it's okay. People aren't going to be like, you're not going to not go to this one thing and everyone's going to have a best friend and you won't. Like I feel like that's the irrational fear that a lot of people get. That's why they ignore those signs. But it's so, I think just bringing yourself back down to earth and being like, no, it's okay. I think that's something that's so valuable and that people just have to just realize.
And the power of consistency, right? Like I think well-being, it's like it's not necessarily having to drink a green smoothie every day and like cut calories. It's just like it's consistency. It's small things that you do after yourself every day, and the consistency builds habits, which builds character, which builds like the way of life.
Which helps you find your way. That's what I was going to say. It helps you find your way to that reset, Raquel, which you mentioned at first, that you needed that reset. And it's like, if you don't build that foundation, you can't get your reset. Can you? You don't know how to reset. It's about building a good base that you can just come, like when you're spinning off your top, that you can just come back to and you can just ground yourself to, like, it's so fascinating.
And how's dating life? How's dating and sex at uni? Right? Like,
Oh my
that's
goodness.
that's the topic
Should
that
it
I
be,
always
does
want to talk
anything, I was
about.
going to say,
That's
is it like, does
always what I
anything
want to talk
happen
about.
outside?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know, but in definitely on campus, there is a huge hookup culture.
yeah,
Definitely. Like it's very like incestuous. Everyone's kind of sleeping with everyone or not sleeping with, but you go out on a night out, you dance with people. Um,
yeah.
I think it's a very strange, not strange, but it's like the one time in your life really that you can kind of hook up with people in a safe, convenient way because it's not like you're going home from the club and you're going to some
Mm.
person's apartment, you're going, to someone's house, or you're having to hook up with someone at a house party, which might have happened in high school once or twice, and everyone's like, "Ew, what are you doing?" Like, that's my mom's bedroom. What are you doing? Um,
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
another
wow.
episode. We'll cover that in a future
Yeah.
episode.
So true though. And like the balance of exploring your sexuality and feeling all this sexual liberation for being out of your parents' house in your own like in your own room, living with all these other young people doing the same thing that you're doing, but like how you do it in a
exactly.
safe way. Because I think a recent stat, and it's always this never really surprises me that over 50% of sexually active uni students don't use condoms consistently.
Yes.
And that's kind of stayed quite consistent, but it's actually started to
Yeah.
be higher in terms of young people not like promoting or doing safe sex practices. Like that's on the decrease of people
Yeah.
being
And
safe.
it's crazy because I feel like sex, like the statistics for the amount of sex that people are having keeps rising. So the fact that it's going like that is, ugh.
Mm,
Why is that? I know when you mentioned that the other day, Jamie, we were like, whoa, that's like it is a
Yeah.
shocking stat, really, isn't it? Like, why wouldn't you be safe? And you would think like this generation has parents that I imagine would have been safer. So is that not
Yeah.
something that gets passed along as a conversation? Is it the awkwardness? Is it part of that learning curve of how do you, it comes back to how autonomy a little bit, doesn't it? And asking for what you
Oh,
need. Like,
yeah.
like the
please be
communication.
safe, or yeah, communication or
Really.
something, isn't it? It's like learning that skill as well, because
Hmm.
I guess that's really difficult. Maybe, I don't know,
About it
Raquel, what
all
do
the
you,
time. I
yeah,
honestly, I think it's
yeah,
a combination. It's like multi-layered. It's the lack of
It's so
yeah,
content that we're
layered.
getting in school, and which is not
yeah.
consistent, whether you're in public schooling, private schooling, religious upbringings, like they really
Mm,
dictate the information you learn because that's not really regulated. Every school gets to make up their mind about
yeah,
what's taught within sex ed.
Yeah.
Some do the right thing and choose sex positive research and evidence-based, knowledge. Others don't. I think
Mm.
also technology has a big part to play because there's a lot of misinformation online. So a lot of young kids are using
So
yeah,
much.
like TikTok and Instagram and like all these new ways of talking about sex or watching porn. Because as
Yes, I think
yeah,
that's
last
one of the main
episode,
things,
like the average age of porn
mm,
is what, 9 years old for an
which
Australian
is
boy.
terrifying. Like, that's crazy.
And a lot of the time they're not wearing condoms. So it's like, of course,
No, they never do. They never do.
no,
yeah, that's
And
so
I feel
true.
like,
Yeah,
so it's like
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
like it's,
influences that people are seeing as young people and then
mm,
going like, well, I'm not seeing people use condoms in porn, so like, why does that matter now? Or like not
mm,
feeling uncomfortable and awkward and not wanting to have a conversation about it, or even like the
yeah.
area
mm.
of going and buying condoms as a young person. Like I remember going and buying condoms at like 17, 18 and being like, oh my God, like
Oh
this
my
is
gosh, I was terrified.
Dying.
I remember
dying
being,
inside, being like,
yeah,
no one can know. But it's like,
I
that's
remember,
good.
yeah. I remember my first time buying condoms. I actually stole them because I was too, like, I
So
was
embarrassed.
walking up to
Yeah.
the checkout and it was someone I knew and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I
I
can't
said,
do it. I
my
gotta
shirt
run.
and ran
No one can
away.
know
It was
I'm having
terrible.
safe
Like, I would never
sex.
shoplift.
Oh,
But like, I was just like, for some reason, I was like, this, no one could know that I'm planning on having sex.
it's kind of
It's
iconic.
so funny. Yeah,
It's
it's
so
so funny.
silly.
And
Yeah.
so common, isn't it? And it is actually, don't you reckon though, everything to do with our body, like in that regard, holds a sense of shame. Like even like you think
Yeah.
like anything that you do, like even if you've gained weight, if you've lost weight, if you want to have sex, if you don't want to have sex, if you've got your period, if you haven't got your period, if you have a lot of hair on your legs, if you don't, like there's so many things, isn't it? It's so
You're
fascinating
so
how much
self-conscious.
shame you're made to, yeah, you're so self-conscious of. And that
Mm,
era that you're in now is like, I don't know, again,
exactly.
really,
Yeah,
really defining, like kind of bringing all of that to the surface and really, you have to find your way through it, don't you? You have to just
exactly. And I
get
think
that
it's,
self-confidence. Yeah.
mm, And I think it's that difference between how self-conscious you are and how much the other person
Yeah.
actually cares. Because I guarantee
Yeah.
you, like they're probably thinking about themselves or
Themselves. Yeah,
they have
absolutely.
no idea how much hair's in your legs. They have no idea. Like they don't actually care. They won't actually like if you have a conversation about I do want to use a condom, they'll probably be like, well, she still wants to hook up with me. Like they like you
Exactly.
guys are both still, want each other and you're still, in the room with each other. That's enough. They're not gonna go, oh my gosh, she's like gained weight or
Mm.
yeah, I feel like
Anything,
there's
yeah.
such a difference between how self-conscious you are and how conscious the other person is of you. And I
Totally.
think just bringing
Yeah.
yourself back down and realizing that there is such a gap
Yeah.
is just so freeing. And it's just so important to just keep reminding yourself of like, okay, I
Yeah.
overanalyze myself all the time. This person doesn't actually care at all.
Yeah.
Happy to
Yeah.
see
Like
you
they're not,
naked.
they're
That's
not
what I
thinking
always.
about you that much. It's
Yeah,
okay.
they're just happy to see you naked. They're just stoked to hook up with you.
Exactly.
Like there's never as much judgment as you always like think there's going to be.
No,
That's like
exactly.
negative
Like your
self-talk.
biggest critic is yourself. So
I just feel like, going back to the title of today's session is that we end on like we're talking about caring of ourselves, right? Like that chaos and caring for yourself. And I just think that's just exactly what you're saying, Raquel. Like if you can come back to yourself and breathe and
yeah,
care for yourself, then everything else largely starts to look after itself, doesn't it? Like you
yeah,
if you have that sense of self, it can carry you through really
yeah. That's
strongly.
into self,
But
and then that
yeah,
it just creates that confidence to voice what you need and voice what you want.
yeah, yeah.
In all
And
things.
in all things, yeah, yeah.
True.
So setting
Absolutely.
a
At
boundary.
TK Maxx, from university, from
Exactly.
studying, from the smoothie you're going to drink or not drink.
It's such a crazy stat that students are less likely to seek out medical help due to things like time,
Mm,
cost, fear of judgment. Like coming back to that fear-based.
mm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Why something
yeah,
like Annie's so good because it's like if students are there's so many barriers to going and seeking advice. Like how great would it be?
yeah.
Like I wish I had Annie when I was
Oh
in
my God.
being
Yeah.
able to just
It's been
like
a game
go on my
changer.
phone, find someone that I like, not have to see like an older male GP as well. That kind of like
Oh
all
God. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you
Or
have
not
to,
have to have that shame as well. Like even like talking about that shame, even buying condoms as an example, or
yeah.
tampons, or anything to do with your physical health, like, a birth control pill, whatever it might be. Like to be able to just pick who you want to talk to about that. That's
Exactly.
why Annie's amazing, isn't it? And it's your choice. You find someone that you gel with and connect with, as opposed to a faceless stranger that you've got
So
to go
there's
and have these conversations with in a medical
exactly.
clinic, or a health clinic.
And
Mm.
oftentimes, you're picking the person who is the cheapest and is on a bus line because like even
Yeah,
getting appointments is so like I don't have
totally. Yeah.
most people that I know on res don't have a car because we're all either
Mm.
interstate or I mean there's 60 car parks and there's 300 students. So we're all
And
relying
who
on
wants to spend their money on a car when you can spend
no,
it on other things? Yeah.
exactly. So
Mm.
even just choosing someone purely due to convenience,
Yeah.
because that's your only option, that can really, and then you have a negative experience with them. Well, you're gonna be too scared to try again because it's costly and it's time consuming, and you're thinking, well, there's actually not a lot of other options physically where I am. So
Yeah.
having Annie, where you can just do it from your dorm room, and it's not even that, yeah, going back to the shame, it's not the shame of being like, oh, like I have to go like to a gynecologist today or
Mm.
something like that, because I think there shouldn't be any shame around that at all, like whatsoever.
No.
But I think that while you're still working through that mentally, that shouldn't be a barrier to you seeking help. So I feel like while
Yeah.
you're still, building up your confidence and working on your shame internally and trying to get rid of that, you should still be able to book that appointment or seek that medical advice without fear of any of that kind of thing. So I think it just removes
Mm.
that barrier while it's still up there because obviously you're trying to break it down.
Mm.
But yeah.
Mm. I think it's really interesting. I know, Jamie, that you shared something a little while back with me around how there's a lot of things, in particular relating to sexual health, that you don't even need to go to a medical professional for, as such a general practitioner or other. It's actually, that's the beauty of something like sexology, and that whole area and space is you can get a lot of information that you need in a warm, caring environment that's non-clinical. And I think that that's I had no idea